Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto Became the God of Wind. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Naruto was an OP Seal Master and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. And also stay in tune for the new episode of What If Naruto Got His Memories Sealed Away. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every episode. And remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Begin the intro. So the last time we left off, Team 8 arrived as Kurenai gave Kakashi the scroll as she completely took over the mission. As they heard the report of what happened, as Shino was the one because his two other teammates was scared because of Zabuza killing intent as he was able to free Kakashi from the water prison. As Kurenai congratulated Shino on a job well done. As the time passed, as Team 8 came on the bridge along with Shino, as Kiba and Hinata went off as they take on Haku. As Kiba got seriously hurt, making Hinata got angry as she break Haku's ice prison and sent Haku sailing by hitting her points, as Haku was unable to fight back. As Naruto and Kurenai was facing off against Zabuza, as Kurenai got hurt making Naruto fight Zabuza, as Naruto used his wing, as he took control of Zabuza's massive water wave and smashed it into Zabuza with great force, and plus the wind sliced his body. As Gato came on the bridge, as Haku came there to protect her master. Their fight was officially done now because the person that was paying them was now against them. As Kakashi and the others came, it was quick work as the bandits stood no chance they was taken care of. As Zabuza looked towards Naruto, as he deemed him to be a worthy fighter, and people will know his name even before he come after them, Zabuza said cryptically. As time passed, as they stayed at the hidden wave to help and supervise over the bridge to make sure that Zabuza is safe. When Naruto got back, he saw that people were looking at him strangely. As they went to the Hokage's tower, as Naruto's name was now in the bingo book, placed in it by Zabuza. As Naruto was surprised by that, as the council member and the others started to see Naruto in a new light. As Sarutobi felt like they would be ready for the upcoming Chunin exams as the time passed. As Naruto and his team got there. As they went through the first test, after that they went to the forest of death. As Naruto asked Kiba and Hinata, how long are they gonna act like they're not dating? As the both of them were surprised. Because Naruto had a conversation with Hinata as he knew that she had feelings for him, but he told that he had his heart for someone else. It was hard, but over time, she was able to get over her crush. And it turned into a situation where she started to talk to Kiba even more. As the both of them, they started to talk. And after a while started to go out. It was quick work as they made their way through the forest of death. They could send some powerful chakra signatures, but that didn't really concern them at the time. As they got toward the tower, Naruto noticed Sasuke in there, as he noticed that Uchiha was holding his neck like something was wrong. But he didn't really pay that any mind. As the preliminary tests went on, as Kiba and Naruto was pissed off when Neji almost killed Hinata. As Naruto faced off against Dosu, but he stood no chance at all. As the matches came to an end, as the matches were set up, Kiba versus Neji, and Kankuro versus Shino, Shikamaru versus Temari, Gaara versus Naruto, and Sasuke will fight the winner of the match of Gaara versus Naruto. So yeah guys, so it's basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across to the PlayStation for yourself. So let's begin this new episode. We begin this episode at Training Ground 8. The preliminary exams ended yesterday. Kurenai was very proud of her students. Hinata was the only one that did not qualify for the finals. But it didn't matter. She never gave up and she fought her best as she can against Neji, and he was far more experienced, and she still pushed herself, and for that Kurenai was proud of her. As Kiba went off to spend the entire month learning with his family to perfect the jutsu that he already had. After his fight with Choji, he realized that he didn't master Getsuga to a perfect level yet. As Kurenai told him to come to her if he needed any more help in his earth release chakra, as he happily accepted. Hinata was currently in a bad condition. Well, she came out of the worst part, but she was still on bed rest, and she couldn't even get out of the hospital yet. As Naruto thought about what he would work on in the break, he needed a trump card in his arsenal, as he would be facing off against Gaara and that deadly son of his. As Naruto looked towards Kurenai, "I'm not sure what I will be working on for the month, Sensei," he said. "I plan to go and talk to the old man and figure something out," as he pointed at his stomach where the seal was. As she understood, she nodded. "Alright," she said. "Well, we don't need to have team meetings every day for the remaining month. I wish you all luck," she said. "And if you need anything, please don't hesitate. Come to me," she said. Time skip. Naruto found himself in Hokage's office. "Hey old man, you got a minute," Naruto says. He came inside. As Sarutobi looked up from his paper, "Naruto, my boy," he said. "What can I do for you? Shouldn't you be training for the finals?" As Naruto explained his problems, Gaara being a Jinchuriki host like him, and he didn't know what he must focus on to compete to the Sand Jinchuriki. "Well, as you know, Naruto, your mother was chosen before you as a host because of her bloodline to control over the Biju. I don't know a lot about her bloodline, but I knew that it was the female Uzumakis who could do it. But I knew that the other Uzumakis had some other ways to defend themselves against the power of the Biju. But there is no record left on the Uzumaki Jiji. How will I find anything about my ancestors?" Naruto asked. As Sarutobi did not really know what to, do about that. "Naruto-kun, I think I know where to find information on the Uzumaki," said Natsuki in his mind. "Really? Where?" Naruto asked. "Do you remember Uzu? It was the place your mother came from. Although it was destroyed in the Second Shinobi War, I am sure that you can find something there useful." As Naruto eyes wide at that, he indeed wanted to visit his mother's homeland, where he could find something else on seal, and he could also find something else to set Natsuki free. "Hey Jiji, what about Uzu?" Naruto said. "I'm sure I can find something there useful for me, and I also wanted to visit the home where my mother was born, and my ancestors," Naruto said. As Sarutobi thought about it, "I think that's a great idea, Naruto-kun," he said. "However, I can't let you just go alone. And I don't have any resources to spare since the village's forces are already under a lot of stress with the patrols and the gate duty increased because of the Chunin exams." Naruto sighed as he thought to himself, "I can't ask Kurenai Sensei to come on a month-long trip with me outside the village. Kiba is with his family and Hinata is still in the hospital." As Sarutobi wondered who he could send out in an off-the-record mission, someone who can leave without notice with Naruto. And that shinobi will have to be strong enough to protect Naruto and also bear Naruto, attitude. His eyes then widened. "Yes, I think it is highly time that those two meet," he thought to himself. "Naruto, I think I have someone who can go with you. He's also strong enough to supervise your training while you search for traces of your ancestors," Sarutobi said. "Huh? Who is it?" Naruto asked. "Well, he currently has free travel all over the nation, but he came back this morning." "Here," Sarutobi said, "you will find him at this address." As Sarutobi gave Naruto a letter as well, "Give him this letter and you will understand," with his seal on it to Naruto. "Thank you, Jiji," Naruto said. "I'll see you in a month, okay?" As Naruto headed off to find this mysterious man. Naruto made his way to the bathhouse. Yes, that is the location. As Naruto wondered why this mysterious man would be here, he wanted the man to introduce himself properly. As he wondered why Sarutobi didn't just tell him who he is, he was about to enter the bathhouse when he heard strange noises from the side of the building. As he went around, he saw a man inside of a tall tree looking down in the bathing area with binoculars. As he was giggling and writing inside of a small hand notebook at the same time. As Naruto really couldn't see his face because he was high up. And if there was something that Naruto inherited from Kurenai, it was the hate of perverts. As Naruto mentally called a jutsu, as he launched his jutsu against the tree that the pervert was hiding in, the winged dragon slashed the tree in the midsection, making the top part fall over as the tree leaned against the bathhouse as the pervert was thrown inside. As Naruto heard shouts of perverts, and he heard quite a bashing that was going on. Satisfied with this work, Naruto decided to go inside, in the man area of course, and find this instructor. According to Jiji, the man had long white hair and red markings on his face. He was about to enter when he saw the pervert getting out of the woman's area, beaten, but nothing too bad. But then Naruto's eyes widened. White hair, red lines. He's the one Naruto asks himself. Hey pervert, did you enjoy that beating? Naruto asks. So that was you, the man said as he walked furiously over toward Naruto. As Naruto pulled out the letter. What's this? He said. Just read it, Naruto said, as he grabbed it away from him. As he looked at it, and then looked back at Naruto. He has grown, he thought to himself. So this is Minato and Kushina's kid. As he was reading the letter, Sensei is finally letting me take him out of the village. This should be fun. Okay, he said. I understand your situation, and I'll go with you on your trip. I don't see why the old man would choose a pervert like you to be my escort, much less supervise my training for the month. Follow me outside, and you will find out soon, said the pervert. As Naruto gave him a nod, as they left the bathhouse, as the man took Naruto to the closest training ground 17. As they reached the center, the man made sure that no one was around. Alright, let me introduce myself first. I am Jiraiya. Jiraiya of the Sun, he said, student of Sarutobi. I am in charge of Konoha Spy Network, so that's why I'm almost never inside the village, Jiraiya said. That's also the reason I could not look after you till now, Jiraiya thought to himself. As Naruto's eyes widened as he recognized the name, Jiraiya is one, or if not, one of the best shinobi of the village right now. He along with two others were in a team trained by Gigi a long time ago. It was said in the book that he read that each of them could fight an army by themselves. And you know about my reason to go there, Naruto said, scared that this man would hold a grudge against him for having Natsuki inside of him. Yes, the Hokage explained the situation in a letter that you will face the Sanjin Julki in the finals. I also know about your burden. But don't worry, kid, you won't be getting anything harsh from me, Jiraiya said. As Naruto smiled, he found another person that isn't hating him because he have Natsuki inside of him. He was a bit weird and a big time pervert, but from what you heard, he was strong and he was reliable. I would be honored, Naruto said, for you to supervise my training for the month and to come with me to find my mother's ancestral home, as he gave Jiraiya a small bow. That's more like it, Jiraiya said. Now pack your things, we leave tomorrow at dawn. Okay, Araseni, Naruto said. I'll see you tomorrow, Naruto says he headed off. As Jiraiya shook his head at the nickname, as he watched Naruto headed off out of the clearing. Time skip, a week later. They had to go to the hidden wave, and then take a boat to go to the ruins of the Whirlpool City. They were currently on the boat and the island of Uzo was in sight. During their traveling time, Jiraiya had evaluated Naruto's skill in all training art, as he came to a conclusion Naruto was at least high Chunin level, or at least Takabitsu Jonin level at most. He knew that Kurina would work on Naruto Genjutsu issues later, seeing that she was a Genjutsu mistress and all, so he decided to work on Naruto chakra control. He was astonished at the boy's wind element, and decided to help Naruto to counter every other element thrown at him, since Jiraiya knew at least every element a basic jutsu in them anyway. He also started teaching Naruto the arts of Fuinjutsu. Currently we have Naruto working a water balloon, as Jiraiya told him to make it pop using his chakra, no wind, as he had to spin the water inside the balloon with his chakra to make it pop. As they agreed with the captain to meet in 2 weeks, so they could go back to Konoha. As they went on the island, as getting there a day after, Naruto popped the balloon, as Jiraiya made him start to work on bursting a rubber ball. As the village of Whirlpool was already crumbled, nature and time had already erased the place completely. 2 days later, Naruto succeeded as he blew up the rubber ball using his chakra. And Naruto was also able to find the buried passageway to the Uzukage's tower, seeing the massive Whirlpool sign at the entrance. But once he made his way inside after clearing away all the rubble that took a long while, he saw a door with a massive red seal on it. That's a blood seal, Naruto-kun. Most likely those with Uzumaki blood alone can go through this. Apply some of your blood on it, and it will open up, she said. As Naruto used a kunai and nicked his finger as he placed on the seal, to his surprise this thing started to glow for a few seconds. The door then pushed back and went down into the ground. He then stepped inside, as he came into a library of sorts, but most of the books were old and barely readable. In the center of the room there was a shrine with a scroll on it. Naruto picked up the scroll and wiped off his blood on it again as the scroll opened up. As he started to read, if you're reading this, that means you're most likely the last Uzumaki remaining in this world. Kiri, Kumo, and the Hidden Stone launched a surprise attack on our village. We did not have enough time to call for the help of our aides, the Hidden Leaf, before they had us completely surrounded. Even with our best effort, we cannot hold out the enemy, outnumbering us 10 to 1. We have lost most of our men defending the main gate, and that fell this morning, and I'm one of the few that is left standing. In this scroll, I have sealed our two most precious treasures. First is the Uzumaki Scroll of Seals. It contains most of our work on Fuinjutsus. Next is our sacred summoning scroll to our loyal allies of the old time, the dragons. Be warned, only a Uzumaki can be accepted as a dragon summoner because those who try to bond with them other than Uzumakis will die in unbearable pain. I have sealed these, hoping that our blood survive and one day he or she will show the world that Uzumakis are still one of the most powerful clans. Good luck from Uzumaki Kazuma, last Uzukage of Whirlpool. Naruto decided to wait to go through the Fuinjutsu scroll first, since he only started to learn the basic with Jiraiya on it. It was nevertheless a gold mine how to bring Natsuki from seal. As he unsealed the dragon summoning contract, as he followed Natsuki's instructions, he signed his name on it. But then nothing happened. But then he felt a weird sensation in his body. Out of nowhere he was pulled as he was teleported. Naruto blinked several times. As he looked around, he was on top of a mountain because he couldn't even see the ground from where he was. He then felt the harsh bursts of wind that nearly blew him off of the mountain as he grabbed on tight. As he heard a booming voice, "Who dares to use our old summoning contract with the Uzumakis to come to this place?" As a giant creature, a black dragon, landed right in front of Naruto. Naruto was scared, looking up at the thing like he could devour him any time. But you remember what the scroll said? "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I found this scroll inside of the ruins of the ancient village of the Whirlpool village." Uzumaki, you say? Well, I'll have to test that for myself. Come here, boy. As Naruto stepped forward, the dragon then suddenly lashed out at him and bit him, but not too hard as Naruto winks out in pain. As the dragon then moved back. "It seems that you weren't lying. Indeed, you do have the blood of the Uzumaki genes running through your veins. You may call me Ryu. I'm the leader of the dragon family. The Uzumakis were our only loyal summoners, and given that you are one of the only Uzumakis that showed up in years now, I believe that you're the last one that is left." "Unfortunately, yes," Naruto said as he looked down. "Well, would you like to become a dragon summoner?" "Yes," Naruto said. "It will be my honor to unite the Uzumakis with the dragons once more. You may call for assistance if you need it." "I will see you soon, young hatchling," said Ryu. As suddenly Naruto vanished. Naruto blinked several times once again. He was back in Uzu. As he felt something on his arm burning, he then looked down to see a dragon tattoo, right where Ryu bit him. As he read the scroll, it said that it was a sign of a dragon summoner. He just needed to spread some blood, and he could summon the dragons. As Naruto headed back towards Jiraiya to finish what he started. Time skip. Konoha Stadium. Every seat was packed, as all the fans were there, ready to watch the Chunin exam finals. In the center, it was Genma, and all of the participants that won the preliminary matches. There was a question in everyone's mind though, where the hell was Naruto? Indeed, he had yet to arrive. Good thing his match against Gaara was scheduled last. Well, second to last. Even Uchiha Sasuke, who has been training with Kakashi the entire month, has arrived early. As Kakashi said something about not want to experience the joys of gate duty again. Open the Kage's box. It was Sarutobi, along with the Kazekage as well, as he was wearing a veil that hid his entire face except his eyes. After Sarutobi finished giving his introduction speech, he gave Genma the go-ahead to begin the first match. "Okay, you know the drill. Everyone except Kiba Inuzaka and Hyuga Neji, please go up to the waiting area," said Genma, as the rest of the Genin started to go off. Alright, the first match of the Chunin exams. Kiba Inuzaka versus Neji Hyuga. As everyone cheered, excited to see the matches. "Are the both of you ready?" Genma asked. The both of them nodded. "Begin!" Neji immediately activated his bloodline, the Byakugan, as he fell into his taijutsu stance. Kiba went through hand signs and Akamaru changed into a second Kiba. "You will pay for hurting Hinata," said Kiba. How typical for a loser to seek comfort and revenge for another loser. But it doesn't matter what you say because today, you will lose. Fate has already decided that. Kiba decided to launch the first attack to gaze his ability. Getsuga! As him and Akamaru spin ferociously, going straight towards Neji. Neji stood there perfectly calm until they were close enough. Rotation! As he spin, Kiba once again see his trademark jutsu being countered. As he broke away, Kiba then flipped and went through hand sign, Earth style, slamming his hand on the ground as a torrent of mud came under Neji. As he launched under Getsuga with Akamaru going towards Neji, but Neji just waited. Rotation! As he spun, the mud didn't even slow him down one bit as he blew away Kiba and Akamaru. Is that all you can do? If it is, I suggest you give up. You will never get through by absolute defense and Neji. I have wasted enough time with you. It's time for you to accept your fate. As Neji then dashed forward, but Akamaru transforming Kiba jumping away. But Neji started to strike him all over. As he was sent sailing, poofing back into himself, he collapsed down to the ground unconscious. As Kiba watched with gritted teeth as Akamaru sacrificed himself for him. I'll have to use it, it's all or nothing at this point. He would let Akamaru's sacrifice go to waste. As Kiba rushed forward and threw a smoke bomb at Neji. I can see right through your smoke. Getsuga, Kiba yelled once more as he performed his rotation. As Neji activated his rotation. But this time Kiba went straight up in the air as he returned back to normal. He then went through hand sign as his body turned into stone before diving down straight in towards Neji rotation. But Kiba wasn't sent sailing back this time as the rotation broke after a while as Kiba stopped and collapsed on the ground. It doesn't matter. Even if you manage to stop it this once, you still didn't get through it. Kiba then looked up. Hinata's eyes went wide as she had her beacon activated. No, Kiba-kun, she thought. I'm sorry, Hinata-chan, said Kiba, as he had an explosive tag strapped to his chest. As it exploded. Despite his body being enhanced by his earth jutsu, Kiba still took a full blunt as he went down, bleeding from several parts as his jutsu got cancelled. Neji was completely caught off guard by that. He wasn't expecting him to do something like that, as he got the brunt of the attack as well. As Neji was sent sailing and crashed into the wall with great force. Kiba had his body enhanced by the stone, so it wouldn't kill him. But the force that Neji took, he was bleeding a lot over his body. Completely surprised that that happened, as Genma saw that none of them were getting up. But then, Kiba picked himself up even though he was bleeding badly. As he grunted in pain, he collapsed back to his knees. But he pulled himself over there and looked on Neji as he lifted himself up. I may be a loser, but Hinata-chan is not. During your fight, she could have easily ended your pathetic ass by just waving one hand sign. But she chose to fight you fairly, and yet you disrespected her by your actions and your words. You said it that fate determined everything in life. So wasn't your fate to lose back then when you went against a main house branch member? Kiba then collapsed on one knee. As Genma was about to declare him the winner, Proctor, I forfeit. My companion is severely damaged. The way I am as well, I won't be able to do anything in the next match, Kiba said, as he went over to Akamaru and picked him up. Winner, by forfeit, Neji Hyuga. As Hayashi saw his nephew being transported to the infirmary, as Kiba was taken as well along with Akamaru, as Hana went off to check on Akamaru because she was a dog vet after all. As Hayashi decided to have a long conversation with Neji and told him about some family secrets and told him that even him fight against fate in the end and his father as well. After 5 minutes, Kankuro and Shino, please make your way to the arena, please. Proctor, I forfeit, said Kankuro. There is no way I can reveal my hand right now. We need to follow the plan, and that's for Gaara. He has to be the one to fight first, he thought to himself. Winner by forfeit, Shino. The crowd was getting nervous and confused as they wonder what if the others forfeit as well. The Chunin exams would be rather lame. As Temari decided to take the initiative as she went forward. As she went down there, I think it's my turn. Yes. Shikamaru, please come down here, said Genma. As Shikamaru groaned, she seemed really eager to start. He could just forfeit and end this right now. But two images flashed in his mind, one of his mother and one of Ino. As he sighed, decided that he'd rather get his ass kicked by the blonde girl down there than face his mother wrath or hear Ino whine. He made his way down there. As the match went on for a while, both of them using strategy to get each other out. But when he finally managed to capture her, he was low on chakra. Knowing that soon, it didn't make sense as he raised his hand. Proctor, I forfeit. What? Temari said. It doesn't really make sense I keep on fighting you right now. I'm almost out of chakra, and soon, as his shadow returned back to him, you see? Winner, Temari of the Sand, said Genma. The next match will start in 5 minutes. Time skip. Gaara of the Sand versus Uzumaki Naruto, said Genma. Only Gaara made his way down there, as Naruto was not here, as people were starting to wondering where the blonde was. Sarutobi allowed a 5-minute extended time, and after that he couldn't help anymore or Naruto would be disqualified. As a minute was left, suddenly the wind started to pick up in the arena as a giant tornado was formed. The tornado then suddenly dispersed, and standing there was none other than Naruto Uzumaki himself, as Jiraiya took this opportunity to sunshine behind Sarutobi at the same time. I trust that Naruto is ready, Sarutobi asked. Of course he is. Who do you think trained him after all? Am I too late, Naruto asked. You're right on time, Naruto, said Genma. Alright, the both of you ready? As Gaara had a sick twisted smile on his face, as Naruto nodded. Well then, begin! As Naruto fell into his kitsune fighting stance, as wind chakra flew through his body, Gaara raised his hand. As a wall of sand came rushing towards Naruto, Naruto fired off a burst of wind that exploded right into the sand wall, sending sand everywhere. As Naruto took out kunais and threw them towards Gaara, as they passed him, but then the wind direction changed and came towards Gaara's back. But all of the sand came as it blocked off the kunais. Gaara decided to attack again as he launched another wall of sand towards Naruto, as a lot of tentacles came out of the sand wall, coming at Naruto, but as Naruto was forced to show a glimpse of his true speed, as he blurred away and appeared behind Gaara, as he pulled out 2 kunai and coated them with wind chakra, as he dashed towards Gaara. His body then started to shimmer, as he leave behind 4 speed illusions. As Gaara looked around, his sand started to get wild, trying to strike them down. As he saw the Uzumakis coming towards him, his sand then got up and crushed the 3 of them. But then, to his surprise, they just shimmied out, as they were the holograms. The other one came behind him as Gaara's sand crushed it, but that was a hologram as well, as the real Naruto came and slit Gaara's shoulder, drawing the first blood of the match. As blood started to pour from Gaara's shoulder, the entire sand force was surprised that someone was able to injure their weapon, as Gaara was the most shocked. As Naruto had to flip away from Gaara when the sand came barreling towards him, Gaara then forced himself into a sand cocoon, as another smaller spear appeared on top of the sand cocoon, just floating in the air like that. Sand shuriken, Gaara said. A barrage of sand missiles were launched from the spear coming towards Naruto, as Naruto looked at the third eye to see that Gaara was using that to spy for him. As Naruto activated his wind blades, as he sliced through 2 of them and flipped over the last one, as he created more illusions as they rushed towards it, as he rushed towards it as well. But the sand only came at him with great force, making him jump away. It seems like his sand around him is more dense. Well, I have an idea how to work this against sand, Naruto thought, as he bit his thumb and wiped on the tattoo on his arm, as he went through hand sign. Summoning jutsu, he said. There was a massive poof, as there was a flap of gust, as a red dragon flew out of the smoke with Naruto on top of his back, as everyone's eyes went wide, as they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Jiraiya, where the hell did he get a dragon? Does he have a dragon summoning contract? Well, he found it during our training, you know where. One day he came back with a tattoo and a scroll. I was so shocked I never made him the next Toad Sage. I didn't even ask him for more information. You'll have to ask him yourself. So, you are the new Uzumaki that has signed our contract. I am Hiryu, a fire dragon. How may I be of assistance? Naruto-sama, the dragon said. Well, Hiryu, Naruto said, you see that sand spear right there? I need you to launch one of your most powerful fireball right in it. It shall be done, Naruto-sama, the dragon said as he flew over the spear. Now, Naruto said as he also fired off a wind jutsu, as a gigantic blaze. It was like a hellstorm came racing down from the sky, coming towards the spear. The jutsu smashed in the sand dome with great force, covering the entire stadium with smoke. When the smoke cleared, there was glass. As the experienced ninjas understood what Naruto did, as he heated up the sand, with the hot temperature turned into glass. Thank you, Naruto said. It was my pleasure, Naruto-sama. You can go now, as you wish. As the dragon then dispelled, as Naruto launched himself down to the ground, as his hand then stretched out, as everyone watched with shock knowing who the creator of that jutsu was. As a Rasengan started to form, Rasengan, Naruto says he tear it right through the dome, smashing into Gaara with great force. As the Rasengan sent a bleeding and screaming Gaara sailing towards a wall, with so much force it impacted, breaking in. As the entire place was smoking. As Genma went over to check, Gaara was completely out cold. At the spectator seats, most of them were shocked to see the Rasengan again. That was one of the two signatures move of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Few of them knew that Jiraiya could use it, but he was almost never in Konoha. What is that jutsu, Sasuke thought? And how? How did he progress so much in a month? He was able to completely beat that Gaara guy. And not to mention that creature he summoned. As Sasuke clenched his fist in anger, Kushina Sensei would have been so proud of you, Naruto. Show them all what you're capable of, Kurenai thought. Genma was about to announce Naruto the winner of the match, when a thick, dangerous chakra exploded in the stadium. Naruto-kun, the real fight starts now. Be careful and remember the techniques that you learned, said Natsuki. As everyone watched as Gaara went to undergo changes, as sand was almost over his body completely, giving him a rather, demonic form, and claws for hands. It seems like his will is not completely suppressed yet. I'm still too small. As Naruto looked forward, how unpleasant to see you, Shikaku, he said. Shikaku simply laughed. After all this time, I'm finally free, he said. The boy, sleep well, and let me cause havoc here. Naruto took off his shirt, as he had a fox tattoo on his other sleeve. Remember, Naruto-kun, you only can control one tail so far. Be careful. I know, Naruto said. This yokai storage seal so far only contain one tail worth of your chakra. I'll have to read the Uzumaki scroll again to know how to boost its capacity. As he spread some of his blood over the fox tattoo. Once done, there was another boost of chakra that spread in the area. This time it was coming from Naruto. As his eyes became blood red, as a cloak came over him with one tail. Sarutobi turned towards Jiraiya and started to whisper, Jiraiya, what was that seal just now before the second surge of chakra? And he said demonic chakra essence. Yes, that's the seal we came up together. While going through his family's scroll on Fuinjutsu, it allows him to store demonic chakra or yokai, as he called it, for future use. Furthermore, it's completely harmless to his body since it doesn't come directly from the fox and is filtered through that purification seal, said Jiraiya. Meanwhile, as the Kazekage was angry, as he was watching what was going on, first, Jiraiya arrived. He wanted to deal with Sarutobi alone, but Jiraiya made things a lot more difficult if he can enter the barrier as well. Then his trump card, that to destroy Konoha forces, the Ichibai, was being pushed around by this mere genin. But that mere genin was a host for the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and he seemed to have power of control over the Bichu inside of him. As his spies in the stadium were still waiting for the attack signal, back in the arena, Shikaku fired off several giant wind bullets towards Naruto. As Naruto slammed his hand on the ground and created a wind wall that blocked them. Shikaku was angered by that his jutsu was being blocked by a simple boy, as he fired off several more of them, as Naruto wind wall was absorbing them now. As Naruto then pulled out 4 kunais and threw them around the arena, Shikaku just looked at him, before Naruto then threw 3 kunais with explosive tags on them, as Shikaku raised his hand as the sand came and covered the explosive tags, as they exploded in the sand, not really causing much damage. But then Naruto used the wind power behind the attack that he absorbed from Shikaku. With the several kunais that were already in the air, using the wind current, Naruto was able to make them launch out of his hand with superior speed when he launched those kunais at Shikaku first for the explosion. As they came down behind Shikaku, Shikaku turned as they exploded with a force that shook him a bit. The next thing he knew, Naruto was behind him, as Naruto launched a powerful kick in the back of his head, pushing him to the center of the arena. Gaara still hadn't fully transformed yet, but Shikaku consciousness was coming out. As Shikaku picked up himself, he was still not as big as he wanted to be. He then noticed that the kunais that the boy dropped earlier were in a box around him. As Naruto went through hand sign, Uzumaki Hutsu ceiling, as 4 dark chains came out of the ground, as they went and wrapped around Shikaku's arms and his legs. Shikaku felt his strength being sucked away, most likely by those chains. A lot of the people in the stadium were noticing a dark cloud that just appeared, as that was a side effect of Naruto. The power that he absorbed from Shikaku that was stirring in the air, creating some dark clouds as Naruto went through hand sign, before slamming his hand on the ground, as a large thunderbolt came out of the cloud and smashed right into Shikaku with great force, as the burning sensation of the chains started to make Shikaku's body, the sand on him, started to turn to glass, and plus magnified with the lightning, his entire body turned into glass, before it started to crack and exploded, leaving Gaara lying on the ground, completely without his sand. All demonic chakra was gone from Gaara, he was just lying there, out cold. As Naruto's demonic chakra also faded, and his eyes returned back to normal, as Genma made his way back to the arena to check on Gaara, as everyone was silent waiting for Genma announcement. Gaara of the Sand is unable to compete. Winner, Uzumaki Naruto. As there was silence, until all hell broke loose as everyone started to clap, applauding for the young Uzumaki Naruto, as Naruto stood there shocked, not knowing how to react to this, because he never had so many people cheering him on before. As Kiba and Hinata were clapping as they were happy for their teammate, as Kurenai was proud, but yet she was amused that he didn't know how to react in that situation, as she saw the look on his face. The other students were stunned by the level of skill and abilities that Naruto showed, as several Chunins and several Jonins talk about Naruto's growth, and how he was in control of the Kyuubi's power in the fight, as they saw how Gaara was being controlled by his beast, and yet Naruto was in control. In the Kage's box, the reactions were mixed. The Kazekage was cursing, with Gaara out of the way. I can forget about my invasion. It was already looking bad with Jiraiya now. And now this. I have no choice, he said. I'll have to call it off. As he made a hand sign discreetly for someone in the spectators area. As Jiraiya and Sarutobi were happy for the blonde. I can't believe he came that far in only a month. I taught him the Rasengan in only 2 weeks. It took me months to master that. I only taught him the basics in Fuin Jutsu, and he was able to create a trap based on that in the middle of the damn match. Are you disappointed that he will not take over for you as the next 2nd stage? Know that he's a summoner of the legendary contract of the dragons. I would be lying if I said I don't feel a way about it, but I can't really request anything from him. After all, I am his godfather, and I was never there for him, Jiraiya said sadly. You had no choice in the matter, and we both know he would have faced the same, or even worse danger with you, if he went with you in your travels. But you know, Jiraiya, we will have to tell him about his father soon. Yeah, let's wait for the end of the tournament, said Jiraiya. He makes a good Chunin, don't you think? He sure does, said Jiraiya. Since Uzumaki Naruto has to fight again, it is only fair to have a break now. The finals will resume in 1 hour, said Genma. As the crowd used that time to refresh themselves, go eat and rest from the match that they just saw. As Naruto headed off to get some Ichiraku ramen and change his clothes. But when he came back, Sasuke was nowhere to be found up. But Naruto was also thinking about the conversation he just had with Gaara after returning back from getting some Ichiraku ramen. As Sarutobi came to talk to him. I told you, Gigi, I'm fine, Naruto said. Naruto, I must insist, Sarutobi said. I want you to check in at the infirmary and make sure that everything is alright. You had an incredibly hard fight just an hour ago. But I'm perfectly fine, Naruto said. As Naruto never liked hospitals, doctors, or nurses. Because, well, all of them really hated him. It's alright, said Sarutobi, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder. They all moved in Konoha recently. They hold no grudge against you against your burden. Really? As Sarutobi nodded. Fine. I told you I'm fine, but I guess I'll go and check myself out, said Naruto. As Naruto went there, he was surprised to see Gaara. He was just sitting on his bed. His eyes were open, and he looked rather empty. I see you're awake, Naruto said. How are you feeling? It's been a long time since I last had a moment of sleep. What happened to me, Gaara asked. As Naruto told him what happened after he lost consciousness, Gaara was surprised that someone the same age as him was able to suppress the beast. Why did you not kill me when you had a chance? I threatened you on several occasions. And if it was me, I wouldn't have spared you, Gaara said. Because we're the same. I too experienced the pain. I too felt the loneliness. I am also hated by most of the villagers for something I had no control over. We share the same burden. Then why are you not like me? Asked Gaara, as he felt the murderous aura of the Ichibai as they speak. It really didn't like Naruto. Well, it all changed when I met her, Naruto said. I realized I wasn't alone anymore. Even me, Had some people that I could call my family, even if we don't share the same blood. So that's why you're strong. Because you have people, Gaara asked. Yeah. Precious people, Naruto said. But you have precious people as well. What? Gaara said. Your brother and sister. I saw how concerned they was about you after the fight was over. And even with your fight with Lee. Moreover, I think there's something wrong with your seal. I'm a beginner, but my teacher is a master in the art. He could take a look at it one day, to see if we can make you get a good night's sleep. Once more, said Naruto smile. I would like that, said Gaara, as he showed the first smile that he ever showed to anyone, since, well, a long time. I need to tell you something, said Gaara. Huh? It's something that you and your leader should know. A ex-ninja from your village is going to try to destroy it, along with the help of the sand. As Naruto told Sarutobi everything after Gaara told him, as Sarutobi was shocked, he couldn't believe that Orochimaru was saying so low, and that the sand was working with him, and that second thought made him frown. He knew the Kazekage for a long time, he wouldn't do something like this. Something was off. As it all started to kick in, the man not showing his face not even once. If this was true, that means the sand was being used. As he quickly called for a meeting with Baki, the highest ranked officer in the sand delegation. Said man already had his doubts and noticed a few strange occurrences around the Kazekage, but could not prove anything. But when Naruto came in the meeting with the three Sand siblings, saying that your father has been acting strange for the past weeks, as Shikaku Nara came in there, and with his brilliant mind, they were able to get something together rather quickly. And knowing about Orochimaru going after Sasuke, Sasuke was pulled off the grid and placed somewhere secure, protected by Anbu. As Naruto was now standing there as he saw Sarutobi, the man gave him a discreet nod in the Kage's box. Orochimaru was currently cursing under his disguise. The plan had went to hell. He couldn't afford to take on Jiraiya and Sarutobi together, and now that Gaara was down, Konoha, even though being surprised they would crush the Sun and Sand together, as he couldn't leave yet because he had a ninja fighting in the exams, and it would be highly suspicious for him to just get up and leave. Moreover, his spies said that they lost the trail of Uchiha Sasuke as he was making his way to the stadium. Everything seemed to go wrong in this day. As Sarutobi started to talk, that was a great performance earlier, as Shiryu Shinobi lost. Indeed, I was sure that my son would have won the fight and faced the last Uchiha. Speaking of him, I don't see him. As it all came together right there. Sarutobi knew that the Kazekage he knew for a long time now never called Gaara his son before. Because, in his eyes, he never saw Gaara as that. Because, even though he was his child, he had a hatred for him and he also sent assassins to kill him a lot of time. As Sarutobi gave Jiraiya a nod, it was then that Orochimaru felt it. A strange sensation of a large scale genjutsu. But he told his man to call off the invasion. No. It seems like Konoha has found out and was using his own tactics against him. As he quickly motioned behind him as one of the bodyguards behind dropped a smoke bomb. Him and them shoot through the window as they went towards the next roof. When they looked over, they heard explosions outside of the wall, as the Sound Shinobis were being slaughtered by Sand and Konoha ninjas. As Kabuto landed, bad news Orochimaru-sama, our forces has been targeted and they're being destroyed by the Sand and the Konoha ninjas. And the rest of them cannot get in the village. The Sand has turned against us. Order all of them to fall back to the Sound, Orochimaru announced. What about the troops in the village, my lord? You have your orders. Very well, Orochimaru-sama. As Kabuto sent away, Orochimaru didn't really care about them, but there was a lot of them inside, as they were disguised as random civilians as they were sitting in the chairs up there. But the Sand ninjas knew of the plan, so they quickly tell everything to the Konoha ninjas. So it was easy to find them all and start to take them out. Leave, Orochimaru said to his 4 guards, as they all left without saying a word. Just then, Jiraiya, Sarutobi, and Anbu arrived on the roof. Orochimaru, to think that you were capable of planning something like this. This time, I will not let you leave, said Sarutobi. This is your end. The end? Huh. Your old age must be getting to you, sensei. You may have won today, but I promise you, Konoha will burn. I will come back another day for your head, you old fool. Do you honestly think I'll let you get away after all of this, said Jiraiya. I see that you're still a loyal dog of Konoha you always were, Jiraiya, said Orochimaru. But Orochimaru smirked as he came at him as he raised his hand. Explosions could be heard all over the village. This is what he ordered his men to do. Plant explosive tags that could be detonated with the pulse of his chakra all over. Sarutobi cursed because he knew he only had one thing to do. Leave him be. As Orochimaru's son Shinaway, a full-scale fight with him right now will just cause more death inside the village. After dispatching the enemies inside, do not pursue the ones outside, just help. With the situation inside, he said to the Envoy commander. The man nodded as he went off the rest of the envoys to deploy them all over. He will come back, you know, Sensei, said Jiraiya in a serious tone. Yes, I know. That is why I'm going to give you a new mission after everything is over here. Almost ever, some ninjas were disposed of by the Sand and Konoha ninjas. The large genjutsu used earlier, it was done by Kurenai, a simple sleeping genjutsu. As the civilians were put to sleep and the nobles for their own safety. Time skip, Council room, a week later. The failed invasion happened a week ago, as Sarutobi was currently debriefing his council. We lost 31 civilians, 57 shinobi, and we have over 200 wounded. The Sand lost 48 shinobis, and it has been confirmed that the Kazekage was murdered weeks before the finals. We estimate that Orochimaru lost over 300 shinobis, and we captured over 117 of his men, said Ibiki. The damages of the explosion to the structures around Konoha were extensive. Time of repair should be around 3 months. Very well, we had confirmation that the Sand was played by Orochimaru and was not voluntary in this invasion. For the duration of the repairs, all Genins will be confined inside to help the village, and the Jonins will be sent out on higher rank missions to maintain our position of the strongest ninja village, said Sarutobi. Furthermore, it has come to my attention that most of the life we lost in our ranks were Chunin ranks. Therefore, I will now announce the promotions for the Chunins. As he started to go over the names. Shino Aberami, Neji Hyuga, Nara Shikamaru, and Uzumaki Naruto. But guys, will be ending this episode right here. If you want the next part, if you already know what to do. And also go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Naruto was an OP Seal Master, and check out that and enjoy, guys. And also later I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Got His Memory Sealed Away, so stay tuned for that as well, and I do hope that you guys enjoy. But for now, I'm out of here, see you guys soon, peace.